Hey everyone, Kyle Walker here. If you love cars, fixing things, or just want to understand your vehicle better, you're in the right place. I share hands-on tips, smart driving advice, and straight-up car talk without the fluff. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stick around till the end. You don't want to miss what's coming up. Let's get
Brakes
into
are
it.
a design that you can't skimp on. There are two types of brakes: disc brakes and drum brakes. A brake caliper is required to stop the rotation of the disc. How the brake calipers work should be considered in detail, as this is the most important element on which the safety of the driver and passengers depends. Purpose: even novice motorists need to know what a caliper in a car is. The caliper is a part necessary for uniform pressing of the friction lining by means of pistons to the disc at the moment of squeezing the brake pedal. Since the caliper in the car should be considered in conjunction with the pads, it can be concluded that more than 85% of the faults of the front brake system are associated with them. Where located? The assembly mounts to the hub and is secured at the bottom and top. It is held on by bolts. It does not rotate with the wheel. Device: the assembly is a cylinder, inside which the piston runs. The system also includes brackets. They hold the brake pads. On passenger cars, install products driven by a hydraulic system. On trucks, put a pneumatic system. Here is what the caliper consists of. Housing: caliper guides. Must be coated with grease. Pin dusters on which the caliper runs. Inner and outer pads. Brackets in which the braking elements are fixed. O-ring and retaining ring. Piston duster. Hoses supplying brake fluid. The main element is a piston with a cylinder. The design provides for a valve that drains air. Under the influence of pressure, the temperature of the air increases, because of which there is a risk that the fluid will boil, and this negatively affects braking. The hole in the rear caliper is opened when pumping the brakes. The rear brake caliper is connected to a cable, so the piston can be squeezed mechanically with the parking brake. How it works: the principle of operation of the brake caliper is based on hydraulic pressure. The force causes the piston in the brake master cylinder to stroke. The property of the fluid is that it does not compress under pressure, so the pressure is transmitted to the brake assembly. Since the caliper also has a piston, it moves outward under pressure. The disc is clamped on both sides by the pads. They rub against it, and the friction dampens the speed. The piston is forced back into place by the elastic rings. Note: since friction releases thermal energy, discs are heated up to 500 to 600 degrees on any type of car. The design provides for constant blowing, so it does not heat up to more than 250 degrees. The size of the body of the assembly can vary depending on the size of the pads. Both the rear and front caliper work the same way. Types: fixed, floating, extended floating. The fixed system is mounted on the steering knuckle, and the pistons are positioned on either side of the disc, with the pads crimping the disc. In the inactive position, the pistons are held in place by springs. Brake fluid is supplied through branched tubes to the cylinders on different sides. This system works efficiently and is used for vehicles with particularly heavy loads, such as trucks. Read also: flattening a brake pipe at home. Floating has this name because it can move along the guides. Pads are also located on the inside and outside, but the pistons presses only the inner pad, the pressure of the second rigidly. Fixed pad is provided by the movement of the caliper in the direction opposite to the movement of the piston. This type of device is cheaper, less efficient, however, more popular. The enlarged floating unit works on the same principle as the standard floating unit, but uses a larger piston and larger pads, which increases braking efficiency. Care: proper care and monitoring of the condition of the caliper will ensure a long service life. A visual inspection of the caliper itself, as well as the hoses, brake fluid hoses, and connecting components should be carried out every 6 months as a rule. The hose should be replaced, even if it is not damaged through and through. Any damage sooner or later leads to fluid leakage, which means that the piston will work with insufficient pressure. Rust on the piston impairs braking. It must be removed in good time. Pay attention to the wear of the pads. When the thickness of the friction material reaches 2 millimeters, the brakes will start to whistle. This indicates that the friction pads are worn out and the pads need to be replaced. Maintenance: the calipers get very hot and work in aggressive conditions. These are the factors that affect the parts in a destructive way. Chinese analogs in general are destroyed by high temperature. Professionals recommend to install on the car either spare parts from well-known brands or originals. You cannot save money on brakes. Brake squeak, brake lockup, deviation of the car's course when braking, change of brake pedal stiffness. An important part, on which the service life of the parts depends, is the dust cover. The dust cover protects the components, in particular the piston surface and the oil seal, from dust and dirt. If the dust cover is torn, dirt, sand, parts rust, lubricant is washed out or dried out. Packing sealing is broken and leaks form. Dry operation of the piston leads to dire consequences. Braking efficiency is significantly reduced or becomes impossible. The piston is blocked and the wheel jams. Piston souring occurs when a worn brake pad is used for a long time. Insufficient pad thickness causes the piston to be pushed out strongly and deposits form on its side surface, preventing it from returning to its initial position. If new pads are installed on such a caliper, the following problems will occur: rapid pad wear, disc failure, uneven pad wear, squeaking, caused by overheating of the rubbing parts, steering runout due to constant pressure on the rotating disc, especially strongly manifested when braking at high speeds. Read also, the principle of operation of the mechanical blower in the car. Noise in the node can be noticed sometime after the installation of new parts. Causes, peculiarities of the design of the node, low-quality parts. To eliminate this defect, springs are additionally installed. Corrosion of the inner surface of the piston occurs due to neglecting the timing of replacement of the brake fluid. It is capable of absorbing water even from the air. Therefore, over time, even parts that are in contact only with brake fluid are exposed to water and begin to corrode. Important, the brake fluid should be changed every 3 years. In order for the caliper to serve for a long time, it is necessary to change the lubricant in time. This action will ensure reliable operation of the piston and safe operation of the vehicle. For calipers, do not use ordinary grease, such as graphite grease or litol. It will quickly dry up, even with a whole dust cover. The main requirement for grease is resistance to temperature fluctuations. Specialized grease is sold in packs of 45 g. This is enough for one-time maintenance. Replacement of the repair kit. A new complete assembly is expensive, but you can buy a repair kit and replace all the insides. This will cost much cheaper. It includes all the necessary parts, including anthers and cuffs. Pistons with caverns of considerable depth are not repaired, even if they are covered with rust. Grinding the part results in a critical dimensional change. However, scraping the rusted areas with fine sandpaper is necessary. The guide pins can also wear out. They ensure the mobility of the parts, so they should be inspected first and replaced if necessary. The car is lifted with a jack on the side of the wheel where the service will be performed. Remove the wheel. Disassemble the caliper by unscrewing the lower bolt. When preparing to service the rear assembly, also remove the cotter pin holding the parking brake cable. Lift the upper bracket. Remove the pads. Unscrew the upper bolt. Suspend the caliper. Unscrew the bolts holding the clamp. Remove it. Remove the piston. Remove the pins and remove the grease. Apply new lubricant. Insert the guide into the bracket and check how freely the guide moves. The movement should be completely effortless when grasped with 2 fingers of the hand. If necessary, replace worn parts with new ones. Reassemble the assembly in reverse order. Pump the system. Important, it is impossible to operate the car with non-pumped calipers, as the brakes will not work effectively. The principle of operation of brake calipers is relatively simple. Braking occurs due to the force of friction. This system has shown itself to be more progressive than drum brakes, and is used on many domestic and foreign brands of cars. All elements of the unit perform important functions, so their condition should be monitored and timely replace worn parts for new ones. In conclusion, the brake caliper plays a crucial role in the overall braking system of a car, ensuring safety and control during operation. By understanding its principle of operation, which involves the hydraulic force that clamps the brake pads against the rotor, we can appreciate the engineering behind effective braking. Regular maintenance and awareness of the caliper's condition are essential for optimal performance. Thank you for watching, and we hope this video has provided you with valuable insights into the workings of brake calipers.